My name is Jennifer Stoltz. I'm the production lead for the Northern Turnpike Corridor. I'm going to present additional priority data requested by the task force. We have reviewed future land use maps for each county in the study area and synthesized land use types into 12 common major categories, which are agriculture, city, commercial, conservation, mining, industrial, mixed use, public, residential, recreation, water, and the farmland preservation area. For example, in the Consolidated Future Land Use Synthesis exhibit, agriculture contains agriculture rural residential, forestry rural residential, agriculture, and rural land as depicted in each county's future land use map. Land use for municipalities, which include towns and cities, are not included in the exhibit. This information will be available on the web-based GIS tool, which will be described in an upcoming presentation. Using the GIS tool, you will be able to identify the specific underlying future land use established by the local government. We have also included the adoption year and horizon year for each county comprehensive plan for your reference. Based on Task Force Meeting Number 4 comments, we have updated the existing trail infrastructure graphic to include the Florida National Scenic Trail.
My name is Weiwei Shan. I'm the Chief Planner at FDOT. This presentation is focused on the question that was raised about how are we going to ensure that the M-Course process is consistent with state, regional, and local plans. There are many existing state, regional, and local plans related to transportation and land use. Some of them are required, some of them are optional. These state and federal laws and rules describe areas for consistency, coordination, and other considerations. Basically, the processes are iterative, and there are different processes for rural and metropolitan counties. Some of the key documents are local government comprehensive plans, MPO long-range transportation plan, and their transportation improvement program, and also the overarching policy plan for the entire state of Florida in terms of our transportation policy goals and objectives is called the Florida Transportation Plan. If I have to boil my entire presentation down to one sentence, it'll be any M-Course projects will be coordinated with our local and MPO partners and be identified in the statewide transportation improvement program before they can proceed. Of course, we also have to make sure that the financial and environmental feasibility studies are done for these projects as well. We're not skipping any steps. During Task Force Meeting Number 4, we discussed the importance of the local government comprehensive plans. These plans include goals, objectives, policies, future land use maps, and other resources that can be key consideration for planning transportation corridors. We had a synthesis of all the local comp plans during the last meeting and had a very robust conversation about the coordination. Transportation planning and land use planning are done hand in hand right now. We've made a lot of progress within the past decade or so, so we're not doing our planning efforts in different little silos. All the mechanisms for collaboration and partnership are there, and we're well positioned to take our coordination effort to a higher level. And after the completion of the task force process, everyone at the table and many others will still be engaged with the department in various roles during the alternative corridor evaluation process and the future PD&E process and subsequent phases to help us making sure that the guiding principles are being followed and carried out throughout the future phases for M-Course projects. Right now, the department is partnering with our DEO partners to provide some resources to the regional planning councils so that once we have task force recommendations, local governments, if they need assistance to revise their comprehensive plans, we can provide technical assistance to them and also work with them on interchange management plans. In rural areas where there's the counties where that is not in an MPO area, the additional transportation planning considerations beyond consistency with the local government comprehensive plans are projects in rural or non-metropolitan areas outside of an MPO planning area need to be consistent with the goals and objectives of the FTP, which is the high-level policy framework outside of the MPO areas. And then corridor projects must be included in the statewide transportation improvement program before they can move forward. Additional provisions in MPO areas is that we need to consider goals, objectives, and strategic strategies of MPO long-range plans. We're in the process of working with MPOs within the study area on a generalized description of the M-Course program. The MPO long-range plan process already is required in statute to be consistent with applicable local government comp plans, as well as to consider the goals and objectives of the Florida Transportation Plan and the transportation goals and the policies. As corridor projects move forward, they will be identified in MPO long-range transportation plans, cost-feasible plans with 25-year horizon, and transportation improvement programs, which has a 5-year horizon. The timing is generally a part of an amendment or the next major update. As with the comprehensive plans, this can be a two-step process. It could begin with a general discussion in the LRTP to recognize early planning for a corridor, which eventually would become specific project information in the cost feasible plan and the transportation improvement program.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Davis. Today I will be presenting on 2050 future traffic conditions for the study area. Here's the agenda for today's presentation. First, I'll provide an overview of the current and upcoming steps in the traffic analysis process. Next, I'll give a summary of some of the origin and destination data associated with the study area. Then I'll review the major inputs used to calculate 2050 future traffic conditions and summarize 2050 future traffic conditions within the study area. Lastly, I'll wrap up with a summary of the major presentation points. This slide summarizes the traffic evaluations conducted at each step of the corridor development process. Currently, during the task force step, we developed existing traffic conditions including average daily, peak, and truck traffic. And in this presentation, we will be sharing future year 2050 baseline or no-build traffic. In the planning and corridor evaluation step, corridor alternatives will be developed using many inputs, including daily traffic volumes. During the project development and environment and design step, a more refined traffic analysis of no-build and build alternatives will be completed. Origin and destination data within and around the study area is summarized on this slide. Each day, there are hundreds of thousands of trips that interact with the study area. We have taken a preliminary look at the origins and destinations for these trips and summarize this information in the table shown. The first row shows the number of trips that start and end within the study area. The second row shows the number of trips that start within the study area and end outside of the study area, and vice versa. The third row shows the number of trips that start and end outside of the study area, but pass through the study area. A large portion of the total trips have some form of external interaction with the study area, whether it be as a pass-through trip or as a trip that either starts or ends in the study area. The graphics on this slide show the 2050 future roadway network within the study area. The first graphic shows the roadway improvements to be in place by 2050. Roadway widenings are shown in blue, and new facilities are shown in green. The second graphic shows the study area roadway network in 2050 by number of lanes. These graphics show population and employment growth in the study area through 2050 as estimated by the statewide model. The darker shaded areas on the graphic show the locations with the greatest anticipated growth. Overall population growth is anticipated to be 53%, and overall employment growth is anticipated to be 72%. A majority of the population growth is focused in Sumter and Marion counties, with smaller sections of growth anticipated in Citrus County. Employment growth is greatest in Sumter and Marion counties. This graphic displays the percent change in peak season traffic volumes from 2018 to 2050. For the study area as a whole, traffic is anticipated to grow by 83% from 2018 to 2050. The red lines on the graphic indicate locations where traffic volume growth is anticipated to be greater than 100% by 2050. This slide shows existing and future year truck traffic volumes and truck traffic as a percentage of overall traffic. Actual truck traffic counts are highest along the interstates. Truck traffic volumes are not as high on the local roadways. However, several local roadways within the study area have truck percentages in excess of 10%. Truck traffic as a high percentage of overall roadway traffic can reduce capacity. Level of service provides a quantitative grading system ranging from A, being the best, to F, the worst. It is the user's perception of how well a transportation service operates and is measured across multiple modes, including transit, bicycle, pedestrian, and auto. In this case, we are referring to the auto mode. Level of service is based on a combination of traffic volumes, roadway type, number of lanes, and area type. As shown in the table, level of service A and B represent steady traffic flow at or above the posted speed limit. Level of service C and D represent light congestion, but still moving near the posted speed limit. Level of service E and F represent heavy congestion with large variances in speed and potential frequent stops. The department has identified a target level of service C in rural areas and a target level of service D in urban areas. This slide provides an overview of 2050 future level of service on the main study area roadways. In 2050, level of service E and F conditions are anticipated in several study area locations. Deficient roads are those that do not meet the department's target level of service. As previously mentioned, in rural areas, target level of service is C. In urban areas, target level of service is D. These graphics show locations within the study area where traffic volumes exceed the target level of service. Comparing existing year 2018 conditions to the future year 2050, there are many roadways within the study area that are forecasted to operate with a deficiency. These include I-75 and Florida's Turnpike and other major roadways. In summary, here's a review of the major presentation takeaways. A high-level look at origin and destination data in the study area reveals that 30% of all study area trips have some type of external interaction. Either they pass through the study area or they start or end outside of the study area. This external trip interaction contributes to the fact that traffic is anticipated to grow faster than population and employment by 2050. A preliminary review of level of service in the study area shows that many segments will not meet the target level of service in 2050. I-75 has anticipated deficiencies in 2050 even with a 10-lane widening. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
This is Jennifer Stoltz, Northern Turnpike Corridor Production Lead, and I'm going to summarize the existing capacity projects in the study area. We wanted to provide a snapshot of some major planning and project development and environment, or PD&E studies, within the study area, such as those that provide widening, are on the interstate, or have major influence on the operations of interchanges. The MCORS program will coordinate future efforts with these planned and completed studies. Some examples are shown in the legend, and the existing capacity projects handout has the full legend. The traffic slides and modeling have taken these into account and illustrate the needs even with these improvements. In addition, we also wanted to provide a snapshot of some of the major construction projects within the study area, such as those that provide widening, are on the interstate, or have a major influence on the operations of interchanges. These are either ongoing or planned to go to construction by fiscal year 2025. The MCORS program will coordinate assumptions and any plans with these construction projects. Some examples are shown in the legend, and the existing capacity projects handout has the full legend. This is Jennifer Stoltz, Production Lead for the Northern Turnpike Corridor. I am going to present avoidance and enhancement areas within the Northern Turnpike Corridor study area. At Task Force Meeting number 4, we showed you some initial avoidance layers that the department recognized from what you brought forward in past meetings as important to you. Today, we also wanted to show those existing roads and alignments that offer potential for co-location to illustrate opportunities to reuse existing alignments to minimize impacts while at the same time offering opportunities for enhancement. The horizon year for each county comprehensive plan is included for your reference. As presented at Task Force Meeting number 4, the original categories used to develop the preliminary avoidance graphics were: will not impact. These are areas that have been identified as absolute avoidance areas. No new corridor through. These areas have been identified as areas where existing facilities, federal, state, and local, or approved or ongoing PD&E studies can be utilized to maintain the department's work program or be reevaluated to be repurposed for the use of MCORS only if they meet the task force identified guiding principles. No additional corridors will be proposed through these areas that are for the purposes of MCORS. As requested during Task Force Meeting number 4, we reviewed the additional requested layers for avoidance and have provided 4 new categories that these layers could be classified as. Task Force will not impact. These areas have been or will be proposed by the task force as absolute avoidance areas. Task Force no new corridor through. These areas have been identified as areas where existing facilities, federal, state, and local, or approved or ongoing PD&E studies can be utilized to maintain the department's work program or be reevaluated to be repurposed for the use of MCORS only if they meet task force identified guiding principles. No additional corridors will be proposed through these areas that are for the purposes of MCORS. Impact only with enhancement. These resources have been identified by the task force as areas that could enhance the natural and physical environment, as well as bring economic benefit and quality of life improvements within the study area, regardless of any impacts from a proposed MCORS corridor. These areas may also be utilized to offset impacts of a proposed MCORS corridor within the study area. FDOT standard analysis areas. The department commits that these areas will be reviewed and analyzed following FDOT standard policies and procedures to determine if they are to be avoided or impacts are to be minimized, with mitigation required and enhancements recommended. We will be asking you as a task force to do a little homework. You will need to review these new category definitions and then classify the layers you suggested in Task Force Meeting number 4 to one of these 4 new categories. Task Force will not impact, Task Force no new corridor through, impact only with enhancement, FDOT standard analysis areas. The following layers were suggested in Task Force Meeting number 4. Florida Forever land acquisition projects, which can be divided into high, high medium, medium, medium low, and low priorities. Florida rural and family lands that have been approved for acquisition. Mitigation easements that are privately owned but managed by the Florida Wildlife Commission or a water management district. Florida Ecological Greenways Network, priority 1 and 2. Prime farmland or productive agricultural lands. Water Management District long-term monitoring sites. Please have your thoughts ready for discussion on the upcoming webinar where the homework will be discussed and one-on-one meetings that will follow after the webinar. To help you a little with this homework assignment, we have developed a new web application with the avoidance layers presented in the task force meeting number 4 and the requested layers from that meeting as well. This is a separate web application from the originally developed GIS tool on the website. We have developed a mobile version as well so that you can have easy access to this information while you are out discussing the project with your constituents or interested parties to help provide a better understanding on how these areas may be affected by a new corridor. Here is a screenshot illustration of the new tool that will allow you to toggle on and off those layers that were avoidance areas as just shown on the previous avoidance graphic, but then also to toggle on and off those layers that you brought up at task force meeting number 4. This screenshot illustrates, for example, coastal avoidance areas. Again, I want to reinforce that we will have a webinar to go over this assignment, and we'll follow that up with one-on-one meetings to go over the tool and answer any questions you may have. My name is Jennifer Stoltz, Northern Turnpike Corridor Production Lead. I will present existing corridor enhancement opportunities. Based on your guiding principles discussions, there have been several discussions on commitments for enhancement, especially if reutilizing existing alignments to both minimize impacts and allow for enhancements. FDOT is committed to the following enhancements for co-location. Water quality. There are commitments to enhance water quality in outstanding Florida springs and outstanding Florida waters in the study area. Additional wildlife crossings and commitments for designing features to accommodate crossings to prevent wildlife conflicts. Another example is enhancing quality of life, where there is a commitment to construct multi-use trail systems, such as pedestrian and bicycle shared use paths to enhance the quality of life in the region. Here are additional enhancement commitments, many of which you brought forward during guiding principles discussions and what is important to you. Improved water flow. This is an example of bridging that allows for improved water flow and restoration of flooding conditions. This was specifically mentioned as related to sheet flow restoration within the corridor. Maximizing the use of existing right-of-way by preserving and providing opportunities for partnerships with utility providers. Connecting and expanding conservation lands that include commitments for innovative right-of-way purchasing and partnerships with agencies. And connecting and expanding wildlife corridors to reduce fragmentation and enhance connections.